Einiger of our station, WABC TV here in New York, Channel 7. Of course, that team doing extraordinary work trying to cover this day in and day out as well. Josh, you were in the courtroom. Describe the moment the jurors walked in and the former president's reaction to that verdict.
Yeah, so David, it's hard to overstate the wild shifts in the atmosphere in that courtroom over the course of really just a few minutes. I'll actually start a few minutes before that, which is when the judge called all the parties back to the courtroom at around 4:15. The jury was to deliberate until 4:30, and the judge told both sides he was going to let the jury go at 4:30, and then he left the bench. And over the next few minutes, Donald Trump was positively giddy with laughter with his lead attorney, Todd Blanche. They were laughing pretty heavily at the defense table and really all smiles. They seemed very relaxed. And it was really only a few minutes after that that the jury sent this note saying they had a verdict. So when they did enter, I think you heard Olivia Rubin say earlier, they walked in a very well-practiced eyes down, eyes forward, not looking at the former president, who was really just maybe a foot or two to their right as they have to file past him, and they got into the witness box. And then what I'll tell you is that from where we were sitting, David, we're not able to see his face. We can only see the back of his head, so it's hard to know what expression was on his face. But as they started to read through the counts, count 1, guilty, count 2, guilty, there was no motion at all in his body until they got to count 4, at which point he slowly started to shake his head. And that lasted for a few more counts, and then at around count 6 or 7, he was just still again, all the way through to count 34 when he was found guilty on all counts, David.
Any reaction were you able to see from Eric Trump, his son? Was his son still in the courtroom at that point?
His son, Eric, was in the courtroom sitting next to one of his attorneys, and no obvious reaction from him either. He was looking straight ahead, sort of ramrod straight, and did not betray any emotion. And then I will tell you, David, that when the jury did file out, it was that same awkward staging in the room that we've talked about so many times. They walked out now with him on their left. Some of the jurors actually turned their face to the right in the direction of the judge and away from the direction of Trump so that they would not have to make eye contact with him as they filed out of the room. And then when he left the room a few minutes after that, there was just a look of disgust. I have no other real word for it on his face as he walked out of the room, and then you saw him before the cameras after that.